It is Tuesday, the 11th of February 2025, and we've just opened the European market. I'm going to be focusing on several mechanical entries. At the completion of specific candles, I place buy and sell orders above and below specific candles at specific times. I research these entries, and every day I take the best entries on my list. For today, I will first be looking at the first 5-minute bar in the UK 100. If it is a positive bar, I will sell below. If it is a negative bar, I will buy below. And after that, I will be looking at the break of the first 15-minute candle in the UK 100, in the Dow, and as well as gold. I will have nothing for the DAX this morning and nothing for SPX or NASDAQ. So we will be essentially focusing on gold, the UK 100 index, and the Dow Jones index. So I will now pause you and wait for price action to do its thing. And when we complete the first 5-minute bar, I will bring you back and we'll show you how I place my order. So it does look like we will have a positive bar, which means essentially we will place a sell order below. I do prefer the first bar to be negative. Usually it's a bit more interesting because a lot of the times you don't even get a fill on the first bar being positive. Like yesterday, we also had a first bar positive and price never returned to this area, of course. That will happen sometimes. These entries have been working fine when they have triggered recently, so that's why I'm taking them. So we've just touched previous day high here in the UK index and are attempting a small retrace. We will see what happens. Just to show you the 5-minute bar completed, so I've placed the sell order below. Back to the 15-minute, I'm quickly going to check the size of this bar. So 787 to 775, so it's like 12 points, 87 to 75, which is fine. I need this bar to be 20 points or lower for my strategy, and so far it is, but let's see. So now I will just wait for the first 15-minute bars to complete in all three, in gold, in the UK index, and in Dow. And once they complete, I will place buy orders above and below all three. And the sizing for the entries will be determined by both the size of the triggered candle, because obviously the stop will have to be at the opposite end, but also on how good the entry has been working lately. So the better entries, the better the entries are, I will be taking a bit higher sizing for them. And if they're working but not as well, I'm taking a bit of a lower sizing. So it's what I call dynamic risk allocation, and I'm essentially trying to maximize on the very best entries, but I'm also taking some other entries that are still working well but just not as good, and in case they fail, I want to have a bit of a smaller size just for risk management. So that's what I'll do, and now I will pause you until we get close to completing the first 15-minute bars. I'll bring you back here. We are 3 minutes away from the completion of the first 15-minute bars, and what I did want to talk to you about is what the DAX is doing right now. So it went completely below Asia session, left the wick below and is trading back into Asia range. Now, if this closes inside the range here, that is actually quite a strong long signal. For me, it is not a mechanical entry, so it's not something that I planned beforehand, but when this happens in the DAX, especially when it's a long trigger recently, because obviously we've been in a very strong uptrend. So say that we had raided the top of the range, left a wick, and we were trading back down, that this would still be a short trigger. But I wouldn't, let's say I just wouldn't perhaps trust it as much. I do think this is higher probability. Now, the only issue right now is that most of the time you would just target the top of Asia session if you went long here, and you would have to place the stop below the wick. So because the wick is kind of big, unless I strongly believe that price is going to break out here from previous day high, because remember we are at all-time highs. So of course it's more than likely that we can break through here and continue moving even higher. I'm probably not going to take this entry because of that, but I just wanted to show you the setup. So if we raid a previous session in the DAX and then close strongly inside that previous session, there is a very good chance that we attack the other end, so the other extremity of that session. And 2 minutes until we complete the first 15-minute bars. So bringing you back here, we completed the first 15-minute bars, and I just placed my orders above and below. We did get filled in the UK 100 on the spread basically, which is obviously never really nice, but it is what it is. It is a long fill, so we have to now hope that this continues further up. We are at all-time highs in this index as well, so there's really no reason to be pessimistic at this point. It is a higher sized trade because wow, this is what I was saying in the DAX. See, so this is a very strong trigger, and we immediately raided the other side. But because it wasn't really in my plan, and because the range wasn't that big, I wasn't really that tempted to take it. It would have worked though, so that was nice. And now you can see some volatility coming in. That's normal at previous day high. So yeah, the target normally would have been just the highs of Asia session, but in this particular format, it wouldn't really have returned even a 1-to-1. So that is why I didn't really want to take it like that. I would have priced my target higher for sure. Might have hit, might have not. It would be marginal. I'm not sure what caused a bit of volatility here, but because nothing really happened, no real news. Yeah, so that setup worked, and we are filled along in the Dow. So we will place the stop right below. Risking 60 on this, so I'm risking a bit more than I should on the Dow. So I will take 0.2 off. Let's see if that does the trick. So yeah, I'm now risking 49. And for the Dow, I just have to let me just quickly place some targets here. For the Dow on this entry I've made in the past few few days. 90 points, 40 points, 42 points, 55. I'm just reading the times that it worked. It also lost 4 times in the last 14 days. Minus 53, minus 31, minus 27, and minus 35. But I'm just reading the times that it worked just to see how many points it made. So 100 points twice, 75, 70, 77, 54, 35. So I think 70 is in the middle of that range. Just let me quickly look at the structure as well. And to decide on this, I will also look at the ATR compared to the previous days. So ATR at the open right now is around 13. Yesterday we were quite similar. So this is quite a similar ATR. Okay. So let's see where 50 points is. 50 points is here, right at the top of this overnight range in between New York and Asia session. And 80 points would be at the fill of this gap. So let's go just in between to 75 points here. Actually, let's just go in the middle of the gap. 68 points, $61 targeted. I think targeting 61 to make 40 to lose 49. I think that's a decent target there. Still waiting for a fill in gold, and the UK index is attempting a bit of a retracement here now, going above previous day high. If we then close bearish here, I'm gonna take that as quite a strong sell signal. So I might close this early if that happens, but I will let it do its thing for now. It can a lot of the times fake a reversal, retest the highs of Asia session, and then carry on rallying. So there's no need to do anything rash right now. In terms of targets for this entry, so on the break of the first 15-minute bar, we have recently made 25 points, 27, 15, 31, 19, 20, 25, 13. So the low end of the range is like 13, 15 points. So let's see what 15 points would look like. So this would be 15 points, $58. I'm risking 66. It's not really that great, but it's not bad either. So that's the low end of the target. However, last 2 times this worked, returned 25, 27. And we did have 19 once, 25 again, 19, 20. So I do believe that we can push this a bit further up. So let's go to 18 points. So as you can see, I'm setting like reasonable targets. I'm not going for the high end of the range of what we've made. Now, of course, if you see this, shooting up like 40 points, you'll maybe think that I've left points on the table, but especially on a higher sized trade, I think going for closer to a 1-to-1 is reasonable to just manage our risk a bit more. I think this is a fine target. So we'll let that run and do its thing. And we have been filled short in gold, which isn't really my preferred entry here since we were above previous day high. And we can easily see this act as support, but we have to trust the fill. We did go below the entry point, so it wasn't a spread fill. And actually risking 63 here is a bit much. And unfortunately I'm already in the red here, but I do need to take 0.02 off here, just because I placed too big of a size for this trade. So we will lose a bit there, but that's fine. And for the gold trade, I will just simply target 8 points, 9 points, 14, 10 points, 12 points, 9 points. So let's look at 9 to 10 points where that would take us. This is 10 points here. Okay, so it's the lower end of yesterday's New York session. I will target this 2900 exactly. Let's see, so targeting $75, risking 50. And sadly the UK 100 is retracing quite strongly now. But like I said, this is the key moment right here. It is the high of the night range. So this basically has to hold now. And we do see buyers stepping in here, so let's see if they're strong to push things back up. I also have an entry off the second 15-minute bar in the UK 100. So as it stands, this will only be taken long if we break back above. But if I'm convinced of this weakness, I might just place the stop of the original entry at the low of this bar, if we don't get stopped out in the meantime, of course. And I'm also interested in the break of the second 15-minute bar in gold, and this is actually a higher sized trade. So I'm going to do the same thing. When we close this bar, if we haven't gotten stopped out, I will place the stop at where I am going to place the buy order for the long on the break of the second 15-minute bar. So I'm going to basically lower the stop a bit, if say this is the size of the bar. And I'm going to be looking for, again, a fill either way. Pretty strong retrace here, quite a bit down now, but you know, this happens. You're never gonna win on all entries, and my strategy accounts for basically losing all the entries that I've planned. And of course, if let's say I lose 5-6 in a row, I might adjust the sizing or even stop trading for that day if that happens. If I get anywhere close to endangering the max daily loss, I obviously adjust, but a few losses is more than fine, and you will have those days. Similarly, yesterday we started with 4 losses, and then we managed to recover without forcing anything, so we're going to complete the second 15-minute bar in less than a minute. So I'm just going to wait a bit more. But I do think that we probably got an unlucky fill here, and the first 15-minute bar in gold is not going to work out today either. It didn't work yesterday either, but the second 15-minute bar worked well. So I'm essentially going to do the same thing here. It's just that it's a bit of a bigger bar, so it's going to have to be this sizing. Okay, so placing stop here, placing the buy order in its place, and placing the sell order right below. So in case we just fully retrace now, this is just going to become an add-on, and I'm going to delete the buy order. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm also entering off the second 15-minute bar, and I'm just adjusting the stop to stop me out and switch to a long position if it gets to this level. But if we just fully retrace back here, I will just add on the short position and then remove the buy order. So this is quite a bearish close here. It is a close back into the range. So I will just simply do the same thing here for the UK index. So bringing this a bit further up, and gonna bring the sell order here as well, and the buy order above. But actually, this should be a bit lower here. Should have probably just typed it in. I'll further adjust if I didn't calculate it correctly, because I do want to be very accurate with this. So this is supposed to be a normal sized entry, so risking maximum $50. It might be a bit higher, but I'll reassess when if we get stopped out and filled short here. Obviously this is risky. You can still have a situation where you break below the second 15-minute bar and even go below the first 15-minute bar, and then we just completely start rallying again. But I'm just taking every entry one after the other, and yeah, we did get stopped out. Okay, so deleting the long order. Placing the stop, risking 53, so it's a bit more, but I'll let that in place. So the first 15-minute bar did fail today in the UK 100. Unfortunate. This has been working very, very well in the past few weeks. So now we will focus on the second 15-minute bar, which we have entered here. So on this we've made 15 points, 21, 13, 16, 19, 30, 19, 18, 25. So it's either close to 30 or around 15. So let's see 15 points, what 15 points looks like. So 15 points would be the low of yesterday's New York session. And I do think that this is a viable target, and I shouldn't probably go too much lower than this. And I mean lower as in a target lower, because while this can definitely happen, I think this should be important support, and we might linger here quite a bit. So there's a scenario where we get super unlucky here in the UK 100 and we just basically tag the low of the opening bar and then just completely retrace. But if that happens, then that's just unlucky. I'm completely fine with my execution here, completely stood by my rules and managed it to the best of my ability. When you have such a reversal formation that is generally strong. It is a textbook fake breakout where we closed right above yesterday's high, but then got a bearish close back into the range and back into the overnight range. So you would expect selling to continue here. So I'm just going to manage these positions. These are my entries for now. So I don't really have anything else for the morning unless I add to a position or I see something really obvious. And of course I will bring you back for that and explain it if I do enter another position, but for now I will manage these. I will show you when I get filled here, or if we just continue selling off here, which would be my preferred resolution now, of course, because I am short gold. The fact that we didn't immediately get stopped out here and filled long does perhaps indicate that there isn't as much buying pressure as you perhaps would have expected at the support level, but at the same time we're likely going to get stopped out and filled long now. But yeah, so we just have to stay patient. Sometimes things won't go your way. No reason to get upset. Just have to analyze if we executed correctly, and I think we did. Completely following the rules. Sometimes things just won't work out, and you have to take a loss and keep following the plan. So I'll pause you here, and we'll bring you back when we have something of interest. Quickly bringing you back here just to say that if we do close above Asia's session here in the Dow, I will add to the position. But the add-on will be smaller in size, and I will just plan it to hold it through not quite the highs of yesterday, but let's say the body of this bar. And DAX is now really strong as well. Wow. So I probably missed a good trade there. But like I said, it's fine to be a bit cautious. The reasoning, I think, was fine. I would have gotten a 1-to-1, but would have had to basically target this area here. I was just thinking perhaps we would see a bit more resistance here, but then again we're at all-time highs, so it would not have been that exaggerated of a trade, but there you go. It happens. It's interesting that gold has spared us here so far, and we're going back down. Hopefully this trapped some people long here, and we can squeeze them to the short side now. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I'll pause you again as I wait for things to develop further. So the UK index is trying to move lower here. If you look at the structure, we can clearly see this as consolidation. The whole of New York session yesterday, plus the overnight session, consolidating in this area. Then we've essentially manipulated to the upside, faked a breakout, and now we're reversing. Now if this follows with strong distribution, we could probably target even lower than this. But let me first just see a close below the opening 15-minute bar. And I might think of moving the target lower. But let's see. So it does look pretty good right now. So here's how I'm going to do this. I will place the target lower So I will go to this area here, just a bit above here. Now why I'm choosing this area? It is basically an area that acted as resistance before, and then we just broke out at this level specifically. So I am thinking that if we do have a strong move below, we could reach this area. But I will be very observant, and we'll be watching what happens when we go below Asia session and if we reach the lows of yesterday's New York session. If I see price struggling to go lower here, I might just manually close it. But this way I'm giving it a chance to go lower and make more money if we do have a strong sell-off here. So I think that is reasonable. And now I will probably pause you again, but let's see. Okay, we did get another fill short in gold, so I'm removing the long order. So as you can see, we did look like we were going to get stopped out quickly and switch to long, but then we just got an extra fill. So I'm just going to place both stops here, risking 42 and 65. Obviously the second entry is a bit higher size because it has been working better, the break of the second 15-minute bar recently. So it calls for a bit of a higher sizing. I will just, however, target kind of the same area. So targeting like $80. So let's see. Of course, we could still just completely reverse from here. It would be unfortunate. We would lose two decently sized positions, and we are attempting to go back up here. Obviously, there's going to be some demand here, just below yesterday's highs, and in this area here. But at the same time, we have shown quite a bit of weakness as well. We have been selling throughout the night after breaking higher, so I'm just hoping for a bit more sell, like 10 points here. But let's see. Obviously these are just mechanical entries. We've gotten filled. Research is showing that these entries are working really well right now, so I'm just betting on that continuing right now, basically. So just have to stay patient and confident in the setup and in the research, and whatever happens happens. So I'll pause you now again and bring you back when we have a clearer picture. Unpausing you here, so it's looking reasonably well in gold, but of course I am a bit weary of this wick here, so we are just going below Asia session here, and obviously a lot of the times you will have a reaction here. And this is what's happening right now. That doesn't mean that we're gonna fully reverse, of course, but just wanted to show you that these are the hard decisions that you have to make. Because obviously I see this, I know that this is a possibility, and then I have a decision to make. Do I want to close one of them early? Do I want to let them run? Obviously the strategy, the way I research it and the way I plan for it, the strategy calls for me to just hold most of the time. But I mean, look at this reaction. In just a few seconds, we've gone from 29.04. We've gone 5 points to the upside. So this is what I was afraid of a bit, and I just wanted to show you in case it happened. This doesn't mean that we can't continue selling though, because we are below previous day high. We could still trap longs here, but of course when you see such a reaction off a previous key level, so you just rated the low of a range and then just you strongly went back into that range. I mean, this is looking pretty bad now for us, and it's unfortunate if we get stopped in both, but you are perfectly allowed to just hold on to these trades and not rush to close. My other option here was, and I was thinking of this just as I started recording, to just close one of the positions for like $30 or whatever it was and just let one run. But over the long run, I don't think that's healthy to do. I think that will affect the returns on your strategy if your strategy calls for holding the trade at all times. So if we just take the losses here, that's going to be a bit painful, of course, but at the same time, we cannot really blame ourselves for this happening. Again, we're following a strategy. Just because this time price just reversed at an obvious point doesn't mean you were wrong to bet on your strategy and just let things play out. Because if the strategy works long term, this individual result doesn't matter, and it's part of a whole, if that makes sense. So I'll let that play out. Of course, like I said, previous day high can act as resistance, and it is attempting to go back down again, but just wanted to say that. And obviously I would really like to see a full reversal here, but complicated, and this is where you can easily slip up and start getting annoyed. This is where your mental part has to play an important role, and when you have to be strong and not be bothered if this fully reverses and just let the strategy play out. In terms of the other positions, I've placed this line here where my original take profit was, just to have a visual mark. And if we get here and we slow down, I might consider closing, but I'm just giving it room to run. In the Dow, we retested the entry point and are attempting to break out again. So I think at this point it's fine to move the stop loss up in the Dow. We let it for quite a while, left it in its original place. I do think that if we go below this bar here, we're likely going to raid the lows again. So there's no reason in losing the full amount. I'm just risking $30 now and targeting 61. So now it's become a 2-to-1. I could be super aggressive and raise the stop loss to the entry point, but that's going to cause a lot of stops while price will then just carry on. So I don't really like to move stop loss to break even unless I'm well into profit. So I'll just leave it like this. Obviously, the same thing applies for the UK 100 index here. I do expect a reaction when we get to Asia lows. This is why I think it's so important and quite underrated to mark out previous sessions on your trading charts. I think these are just such important levels, and you'll see it here. So price will move to the low of Asia session, and it's doing that now. And you will have buyers always stepping in here, but could be scalpers, could be serious buyers, but you will always see some sort of reaction here. So if you like scalping, these are usually great places to try to scalp a few points. That's not me or what I like to do, so you won't really see me do that. If I enter long here at any point, it's because I expect a decent move to happen. And obviously, since we're in an uptrend, this is actually quite a relevant spot where price could reverse. But looking at the formation, like I said, this is accumulation. This is strong manipulation above previous day high, and then a strong move back into the range. I do think that this raises the possibility that we go lower, but we'll have to see. This support will be in play. So just wanted to give you that update and show you that it's so important to just let things play out, even if, you know, they play out against you and you see that happening in real time. It's important to not take it personally. You're not wrong to let things play out. But I do think that being too reactionary and perhaps just immediately closing here, both trades, you might think that you were right when you see this price action, but I think in the long run, you would be wrong and you would be teaching yourself to leave a lot of points on the table, and then you would not be getting most out of your strategy, and then that's why your strategy wouldn't be profitable for you. So with that in mind, I will pause you again and bring you back. An update here, we are exactly at the lows of Asia session and we have gone below. So let's see what happens here. This is obviously a reaction point, like I said. DAX has had quite the reversal here, going below the breakout bar here. If we get a close back into Asia range here, I might be tempted to short the DAX. And I would obviously very much prefer that this trade fails as long as everything just dumps here. But it just feels like gold isn't in the mood to do that. Not quickly anyway, but I'll give it a bit more time, and then if we just stay around this area and nothing happens, I might consider closing one of them just to take some risk off. Because obviously when you enter, and most of the time when I make money on these strategies, price goes not directly necessarily, but a lot quicker than this. So this is clearly not an ideal day for these entries, but I'll still give it a chance to go back down again. So let's see. And well, yeah, that is a very strong move in the DAX now, but unfortunately still 6 minutes until the close of this 15-minute bar, and we'll close half the range. I think I'll just let it slide. So I had no trades in the DAX for today. Could have gotten in on this move long, I didn't. That's fine. Let's see, I'll let gold run a bit more. Hopefully we don't get a quick run up, get stopped, and then move back down. But that can happen as well. So just never get too annoyed with the markets. Don't take it personally. I'll bring you back. So I do believe that the support is kind of starting to hold in the UK 100 here, which is a bit unfortunate. And demand is looking to step in the Dow here, and a bit in the DAX here as well. So I think what I'll do is I'll just move a stop to break even here in the UK 100 trade. So I'll give it a chance to keep selling after a small attempt to go back inside the range. So I'm not rushing to do anything. I'm not, taking half profit here, I do think there's still a chance we keep going down. And I wouldn't want to get stopped out in the Dow, but then close this early and then see it dump if that happens. And if I get stopped out just because price fully reversed, then that's fine as well. That's still part of the strategy. But I'm giving it a chance on the times that it dumps here. I will capitalize. So just gotta keep staying patient. So gold is now finally making another real attempt at going lower. I think at this point it is fine to move stops, and I'm just now risking 25 there and 44 there, so lowering my risk. Obviously if we make another attempt to go lower here and reject and go back up, I do believe that we're gonna finally start moving higher, so there's no reason to lose the full amounts anymore. I might even, let's actually just move one of them to break even here. So now we're just risking 45, but we're still targeting the full amount, so we're targeting 80 plus 2, 80 times 2. So we're targeting close to 160, might be a bit below, so 80 and 76, yeah. So we're targeting like 150 something dollars here. And we're not far off, we just need 5 healthy points down. And obviously we just don't want to see a double bottom here. Again, you might feel tempted to just get out here. Can't blame you if you do that. But for me, for the strategy to play out, I really need to try and maximize it. So I'm just going to give it a chance to actually dump here. And if it doesn't, then it just wasn't meant to be. I think I am gonna exit the UK 100 trade though. I gave it plenty of chance, and it does feel like there is support here. Now, obviously, this can still go lower. But I think it's fine to exit there, considering we have been hanging around here for quite a while now, almost 30 minutes. And also looking at the other indices where buyers are stepping in. So I think 31 out of the original $40 target is fine. We gave it a chance, we gave it a shot to go lower. It could still do that, but I think it's fine to get out there. And now if it goes down lower, I won't really, I'm not bothered. You can do anything. I'm completely fine with my decision there. So now I just have to manage these gold positions. I would like to see a faster move below this low now. Okay, so let's see. I'll give it a real shot at hitting here, and I'll bring it back. So we have gone below here, below previous bar, and I'm just closing the first entry here and letting the second one run its course with the a bit lowered stop loss right back above previous day high. We are quite close to TP here. I would very much prefer, obviously, for this to hit directly now, but just decided to take profit in the first position. I think I let it play out, and it's okay to just secure some profit there and let the other one run, since we're in a double position. So this is where, you know, patience got rewarded. You could have easily said, okay, I'm closing one of them here because we had been in quite complicated price action. You could have been afraid and just closed one, but then missed out on some nice profit. So closing that a bit more than half of what it would have made. Still, there was some money left on the table, perhaps, but I think it's okay to lower exposure at that point, since we are in another entry as well. And we of course have to remember that we are in a huge bull run. And there's a lot of people just waiting to buy at these lower levels, and this is quite an obvious consolidation and breakout point. So it makes sense. So I'll just give it time, because we're quite close. So leaving that to run. UK 100 hasn't done much more since we exited, so I think I'm perfectly fine with this exit as well. And the Dow is attempting to recover now. Normally, if this is a tap into demand, you would expect a stronger response. So I do think that there's a good chance we get stopped out here, but it's fine. We'll let these play out. Obviously, a full reversal here is like an $80 swing. So it would take us into a losing morning, but I think there's a good chance we can hit here, so I'm not going to rush into it, and I'll pause you and bring you back when we're closer to either a take profit or a stop, or let's say we just spend too much time at this level and I just close it manually. But as usual, I will give it time. Bringing you back here, so we are again attempting a bit of a recovery, but it's kind of a slow grind lower where, you know, we go lower, try to go back up, then we go lower, try to go back up. I've drawn this 15-minute trend line, and I would expect price to stay or close below it to continue the downtrend. So I would expect some sort of reaction around this point. Let's see. If I see a close above it, I might just get out, and that's that. It sucks, because we did have some nice profit, but I'm never gonna be too upset that I let a trade run its course and tried to get the maximum out of it, because that's what the strategy tells us to do, and that's the healthy habit that you need to really understand and learn to develop. So I'll look at this trend line now and observe price and decide what I'll do, and I'll bring you back for the decision. Getting ready to enter here in the UK 100 on the fifth 30-minute bar break. I haven't really taken this on video before, I don't think. I might have. But this is another entry that I'm tracking. And the size is quite big here because the candle is rather small. And I'm going to risk the usual $50 on it, which is 0.5% on the account. So it's a normal sized entry. We'll wait for a fill. And on this particular entry, we're going to target like something like 14 to maybe 17 points. We have had 17 points, set 33, 10, 10, 30, 14, 13. So it's either between 10 and 15 or between 20 and 30, but I'll go for the lower end of that as we're going to be breaking out after quite a slowish last hour and a half, and we have gotten filled long here immediately, so I'm just removing the short order. And apparently I failed at math again because I just wanted to risk 50, and I'm again quite a bit off. I think I rushed into and I didn't, but with the cushions, I should have taken the cushions into consideration, because obviously it has to be 1 to 1.5 points above and 1 to 1.5 points below. And we got filled in and immediately reversed here, which kind of sucks, because I did want to take a bit off, but now I have to do so at a loss. Oh well. Still not enough. Let me just keep adjusting here a bit. So I'm just risking 53 here. Now it's fine, I think. It's so annoying when you just get filled and then price immediately reverses, but what can you do about it? So let's see. Because I am going to target like 13 points, let's say. So this is 10. Let me just go on a higher time frame here to see it. So it's pretty much almost the high of this bar. I'm going to go just a bit lower. So just going to target $90 there, risking 53. And of course lost like 8 in adjusting the size of the candle, but whatever, that's not really that big of a deal. So gold did go above this trend line now, but it's retracing. So as long as it doesn't, you know, if I see a strong close now that invalidates this fair value gap here in this bar, I'll probably just close it for a little loss. But still want to give it a chance to go in our favor and reward us for our patience. But let's see. So that's the entry here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. This is another entry that has worked quite well lately. I haven't really taken it that much, but it has worked. So the objective research is showing that I need to take this entry, so no more has to be said. So I'll pause you again. I will go away now for the lunch break, and you will see what happens afterward. I do think that I will further decrease the stop loss now to just $30. So I'm putting it right at previous day high. Normally, I would like to just see what happens and perhaps even close it manually, but Can't just stay glued to the screen all day, so sometimes you just have to make a decision. And we have had a close on the 5 minute above the trend line, but I'll still let it open. And let's see, I might hang around for a few more minutes and I'll bring you back. Okay, so this reaction is pretty much what we wanted to see. So I'll just leave it like that, risking 30 to make 82. If it just goes against us from here, then that's just fine. Just what happens. We've lowered our risk. We gave it ample chance to hit target. This could easily, after all of this ranging here and slowness, this could easily just dump completely and go somewhere like half of the range, half of previous day's range. So I'm not even targeting that much of an ambitious target. And especially since we're also in the red in both the UK trade and the Dow trade, closing this early doesn't really bode well for the overall strategy, because every time you're wrong, you're going to lose the entire amount. So always remember that. So with that said, I will let things play out and I'll be back in like an hour and we'll see what happened. Actually, just one final update before I leave. I just hang around for a few more minutes. And price has kind of double bottomed here on the 5 minute now. I'm not going to rush and close this again. I really do think that I should let at least this target play out. I am, however, moving stop loss to break even. If we go back up here, I think it's clear that we're gonna start rallying probably, and at the very least we're gonna touch previous day high again. So I'm just minimizing risk here, being proactive. If this gets stopped out, it gets stopped out. So we'll see what happens. For you it's gonna be instant, but I'm gonna be away for an hour now. And I'm back, and I've just closed the gold trade because we just revisited this low here, this London low, and we're just immediately bouncing back up. It's pretty much the same reaction that we've seen from earlier. Now, of course, this can just keep going down, but at this point it's tried so many times to break through here that it hasn't, that I just think it's fine to just close it then. I can't be accused of not holding out and giving it time to hit TP, but it just wasn't meant to be. Sadly, we did get stopped on the UK 100 trade. It just displaced lower and then retraced. So what are you gonna do? It's gonna happen sometimes. And we also got stopped of the Dow trade right at the low here. Again, this will happen sometimes, not the end of the world. So ultimately we're just very little down on the session, like $20 I think. And it wasn't the easiest of sessions, so I think this was a good example of how to manage things when things don't really go your way. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I think I got the most out of it. Some good entries failed again. So when that happens, it's going to be hard to make a profit. But if we see this as a below average session where our entries didn't really work out, we just lost very little, I think that bodes well and shows the strength of the system. So I do believe that all in all, even this session showed just how strong the system can be and how you just need to have good execution and a good mental side as well to just hold out for targets and not rush into decisions. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap the video up here because it's been quite a long one. But I thought there were some important things to mention and to point out in there. So hopefully you like it. And I will be back for the US session. Until then, please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you later.